Hope you listen to the end of this video because the actual point I want to make will be at the end, but you have to forgive me because I have to set up why I'm even bothering to think about this tonight, and it's going to require a bit of explanation. So today I had a pretty good day. I demoed a set of features that I've been working on for a while to a customer, and what I was trying to do for the customer was set up a development process slash environment for his team. And those features that I set up for him are based on the Nix package manager and some other stuff built on top of it. I think it went pretty well. But last night I was struggling to make one of those features work optimally. I had to write a Python script to the Nix store, and there is a perfectly suitable function for this called write Python 3 in the in Nix packages, the Nix packages namespace. And the some job of this function is to take a file that's on your file system or a bit of text that's in your Nix file, and to put a shebang line on top of it that points at a suitable Python 3 version and make it executable and write the resulting file to the Nix store. That's its entire job, so it can be executed directly. So the function, I tried to make the function work. It didn't work right away because it wanted to lint the code that I was feeding it. And by linting, what I mean, it was trying to feed it to a linter, Python linter called Flake8. And to me, this was confusing because I still don't quite understand. It doesn't make much sense that a utility function whose job it is to just write stuff to the Nix store would be opinionated like this about line lengths and, the number of new lines between functions. And it's just not particularly useful. But I was like, fine, okay, whatever. I'll appease it. So I changed the file content so that it passed all the Flake 8 tests. Most of the things it was complaining about were like line length and whatever. I tested it and it worked. And I then was like, cool, I am on a schedule. I have to make this work. Whatever. I'll try to check it in because I had some other features that I needed to work on till I could go to bed. Unfortunately, the project into which this file was added has its own linting requirements that are checked via a pre-commit hook. And the pre-commit hook is Black, is a program named Black, is a different linter. And Flake8 and Black disagree on their linting requirements. So what it meant is that, Flake and Black 8, or Flake8 and Black were competing over linting dominance for my code, which the code works. I don't care about its formatting at all. It's pointless, but certainly the customer whose repository this is in should win, right? Because it is his code at the end of the day. It's not Nix's code. So what I wound up having to do was to further appease this Nix packages function called write Python 3. I had to pass it a list of linting error codes that it should ignore. And one of these was called E501. This was actually the only one that mattered. And E501 for Flake8 is that line should be no longer than 79 characters. Now, Black is, I'm not sure if this is configured in Black. I wouldn't want to do it there because, like I said, the customer always wins. But it probably is. But once I told Flake8 to ignore that, I was able to commit the file after Black did its re-blackification of the file, and all was well. All right. Now, I might have just used like a lower level Nix function. There are a billion of them to do this, to add a shebang to a file, and I probably will in the future. This just doesn't suit me. I could have filed a bug report against Nix package. I could have made a pull request, but again, I'm on a schedule. It's midnight. I need to get up at 7. I have another hour or so of work to do before I can get to bed. And to me, all this is just a total waste of time, this linting stuff. So rather than do anything constructive, I got on Mastodon and I took 15 seconds to send this frustrated toot. I said, quote, what kind of totalitarian decided it would be a good idea for packages write Python 3 to do a flake A check before allowing the script you're writing to be executed? And then I put the hashtags on it, Nix and NixOS. And I got back to work. Was this in good taste? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, it's just not, I wasn't thinking about it, just not something I was losing sleep over. Should I have added the Nix and NixOS hashtags? Almost certainly not if my goal was not to get an answer. But I did want an answer, and because I was actually curious to see if there was some rationale for it that I didn't quite understand, and I did get some helpful, useful interaction from other Nix community members that night. Now, this caused a bit of a stir. Not it's totally minor, just drop in the ocean, and it made me think about this topic. Now, would I send that toot again? Yes, I would. Will I? Yep, I can guarantee it. 1,000 times yes. 1,000,000 times yes. Yes, I will do that again. That I was even brought to even think about this was because there was a response from a, to me, random person that I had the pleasure of waking up to this response. The next morning, it said, in response to my tweet, it said, what kind of insufferable, entitled asshole, it's pretty funny, would publicly denigrate FOSS, free and open source software work, and call its contributors totalitarians just because he disagrees with a configurable default behavior? A Pythonista question mark? Yes, that checks out. Okay, so now, point granted, I am indeed often an insufferable, entitled asshole. I really am. I just ask my friends. But I'm going to guess that I'm one of those things no more than you are at times, than all of us are at times. And humans are humans. And I sent a toot. I vented out in frustration in what I think was the mildest possible way. With a little, totalitarian is not something I'm going to try to call somebody literally. I don't think anybody who's sane would interpret me calling someone who writes code a totalitarian just because I disagree with the code that he wrote in seriousness as anything but, humor. And by the way, Python people, I'm not sure what the Python distaste is. Python people, Pythonistas are some of the kindest people on the planet. So anyway, someone else had responded in that same thread, by the time I saw it. And this is not the first responder. This is someone else who says, I'm pretty sure Chris was just poking a little lighthearted fun at something that's frustrating to him. And this person got that exactly right. He's been there before. He knows why. And so this garnered a response from the original responder, the entitled asshole responder. I'm not calling him an asshole. I'm saying that's what he said of me. He says this, and listen carefully to this language. I do not care about intent, I care about impact. It's possible that the person who contributed this check is currently burning out, and this message could get them to drop out of FOSS, free and open source software. And he says, they say, if your instinct is to reply, they should learn to take a joke. Please check your privilege. Many people are not in the mental space to take a joke, quote unquote, and I want them to feel safe to contribute to FOSS, exclamation point. Jokes are also part of the problem because they contribute to normalizing this undesirable behavior. Until we stop losing truckloads of contributors to toxicity, I will aggressively call this out. All people should feel safe contributing to FOSS projects, and they don't deserve to be called totalitarian for it. That was the entirety of this response. And I think a few more messages was traded. I did not respond to any messages in here, except I retweeted their the two that I just read to you out of irony. So I'm going to respond now via this message, and I'm going to try to talk to the casual listener as well. And so you say to me, so Chris, is not this person right? What exactly is wrong with this bit of tough love? Why am I such an asshole that I would deny the absolute righteousness of this request? Have I no heart? Don't I understand that people are burning out on a daily basis because of toxicity in open source software? Well, it's a good question. I think I understand it pretty well, and I think the original responder does not. I'm not much of a bomb thrower. I think that any reasonable person that follows me on Mastodon or communicates with me in the various ways of open source will confirm that. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I always try to put a coat of humor, paint on genuine criticisms, disagreements. Intent does matter. It matters a lot. And social media, if we let it, just can rob us of the context of the thing and let us get carried away. Just don't let it do that. Don't do that. Second point about this message is that the suggestions include prescriptions, which are sort of unwritten rules about language and whatever. My contention is that you can't have an actual community with these rules in place. You can have a group of people that are interested in the same thing. That is not a community. That's a gathering. We have passions. Passions make communities. And when passions are in the mix, you can't expect continuous gray, anodyne language because you're passionate about the thing. That's what makes a community. Anyone who expects to have these kinds of, very gray conversations is just either denying reality or doesn't actually want a community. I've been doing open source for almost exactly 25 years this year. I've rage quit. I've quiet quit. I've quit. I've all the quits in between. I've burned out hard several times. You can see it in my GitHub history like a novella. And in between, I behave like a little child, like a mentor, like a wizened adult, like a pie-eyed journeyman, like an insufferable entitled asshole, like a guardian, and like a benevolent dictator. And that's like all of us as we go through life. People I'm now much indebted to my great relief, have given me second, third, and fourth chances, maybe when I didn't even deserve them. They've tolerated me at my worst, and they've, partied with me when I do my best. I listen closely to their advice now because I know they're on my team. Do you know who I've never listened to? Strangers call me an asshole on the internet. You know who else with any sense never listens to those people? Anyone. The tactic of doing this is pointless and counterproductive. Now, if this is a troll, it's a great troll. But anyway, it reminds me that what stresses me out about open source, and it has stressed me out for, since, I don't exactly know what PyCon this was, but it was Donglegate was my first taste of it. You can look it up on the internet. It was It was kind of a thing. Anyway, what stresses me out about open source is white knight social justice activists trying to make hay from one of my offhand tweets to demonstrate to the world just how much they care about the downtrodden. If I get enough of that again, I might quit again. I am keenly suspicious of people protecting the honor, the safety, and the mental health of imaginary motherfuckers. If on the other hand, if you produce an actual real motherfucker and he feels slighted in some way by something I said, I will apologize to him over and over again. On the other hand, if you have to sort of continually invent such a person in your head and offer him up as a victim and catastrophize the impact of random nouns, I think that is to feed your pathetic, bottomless need for validation. And I will make fun of you until the end of days. You're a bully, not a savior. You want power, not justice. You'll deny it, but you and I both know it's true when you lay in bed sleepless at night. I cannot help you in any other way than by saying this. A couple years ago, I had another person submit a drive-by ticket in GitHub claiming that one of my projects had a name that had misogynistic overtones. It was called Waitress. And you got to understand, changing the name of a project is fraught with issues of, with technical issues. It is not something to do lightly, and lots of people depend on this thing. They used in this issue the same kind of cut and paste, privilege checking, safetyism, impact not intent, fucking nonsense, and tried to convince me to change it. And I said no. And that person went away. Never heard from them again. It was simple as that. And that's what I'm doing now to the person who tweeted that to me on Mastodon. Go away. Write some software. Take a walk. Anything but respond to strangers on the internet for ego points. Shoo. This is what anyone with any sense should do too. And this is my dismount. Ugh. Don't let these people fuck up your spaces. Tell them no. Now, have fun. Be kind, but joke around with each other. Treat each other with respect, but know that respect is often shown through acceptance of, spicy language and acknowledgments that humans are humans, and they cannot be corralled into a single kind of behavior, a single mindset by power-hungry psychopathic narcissists posing as ethics cops. It does not have to be the apocalypse every day. We're not living in the gulags. We programmers are amongst the most entitled people on the planet. We really are. And the subset of programmers who've been given the absolute blessing of being granted the time to work on open source software, even more so. We are in the 0.0000001%. Rejoice. Be aware that you're lucky beyond measure, but feel no shame. And that's it. Have a good night.